On July 20, 2026, Mohamed Salah stood between endings. Liverpool had already said goodbye after 9 extraordinary seasons. Egypt had just completed its deepest World Cup run, losing a 5-goal thriller to Argentina after leading by 2. Yet no new club had been announced. That uncertainty makes the familiar numbers feel almost unreal. 442 Liverpool appearances, 257 goals, 120 assists, 9 winners' medals, and a place behind only Ian Rush and Roger Hunt among the club's scorers. He left as the Premier League's highest-scoring overseas player and the 4th highest scorer in its history. Even his agent publicly said the destination remained unknown, while speculation multiplied around him. But statistics reveal only the finished work. They do not explain the boy who spent most of each day traveling from an Egyptian village to training, the young player who struggled in London, or the captain who kept returning after national heartbreak. For 9 years, Anfield knew exactly where Salah belonged. Now football knew what he had become, but not where the road would lead next. To understand that open ending, we return to Nagrig. Mohamed Salah was born on June 15, 1992, in Nagrig, a village in Egypt's Nile Delta. Football filled the streets, but a professional career felt far away in every sense. At 14, he joined Arab Contractors in Cairo. Training demanded a punishing journey of roughly 4 hours each way, 5 days a week. Salah later recalled leaving school after only 2 hours, collecting official permission, changing buses repeatedly, training, and returning near midnight. He was not the biggest or strongest boy. His advantage was the willingness to repeat that day until distance became routine. His parents worried, but daily sacrifice became the family's shared project. Arab Contractors first used him in youth teams, then promoted him quickly. At 17, he made his senior debut. His pace was obvious, but so was his unfinished technique. Coaches moved him forward, giving him space to attack rather than defend. Egypt noticed. Salah debuted for the senior national team against Sierra Leone in September 2011 and scored his first international goal against Niger. Then, in February 2012, the Port Said stadium disaster killed dozens and stopped the Egyptian league. Football became secondary to grief, and the domestic pathway suddenly closed. An Olympic team friendly against Basel offered another door. Salah began on the bench, entered after halftime, and scored twice. The Swiss club saw more than speed. They saw a player ready to cross borders. Basel signed Salah in 2012. Europe tested him immediately. Unfamiliar language, cold weather, loneliness, and tactics more structured than anything he had known. At first, he sometimes trained twice a day simply to catch up. That summer, the London Olympics introduced him to a wider audience. He scored in all 3 group matches against Brazil, New Zealand, and Belarus, helping Egypt reach the quarterfinals. Back in Switzerland, Salah learned when not to sprint. He began combining acceleration with angled runs, earlier passes, and calmer finishing. Across 79 appearances, he scored 20 goals, won 2 Swiss League titles, reached a Europa League semi-final, and repeatedly troubled Chelsea. In 2013, he was named Switzerland's Player of the Year. Chelsea moved first in January 2014. The transfer seemed like confirmation that the long commute from Nagrig had reached its destination. Instead, it created the hardest detour of his career. Salah entered a squad crowded with established attackers and played only 19 matches, scoring twice. Limited minutes did not prove that he lacked Premier League ability. They showed that talent, timing, trust, and tactical fit must arrive together. His Basel goals against Chelsea had been a warning, yet London offered almost no rhythm afterward. So he left England to rebuild in Italy. That decision changed the shape of his game, and eventually the history of the club that England had not yet connected to him. Fiorentina offered Salah freedom in February 2015. Wearing number 74, widely reported as a tribute to the victims of Port Said, he attacked open grass with new confidence. He scored 9 times in 26 appearances and produced a memorable 2-goal cup performance against Juventus. Roma then turned the revival into proof. Salah became more selective, hold width, receive on the right, cut onto his left foot, or release a teammate before defenders could reset. He scored 14 league goals in his first season, won Roma's Player Award, and followed with 15 as the club finished second in Serie A. Across 83 appearances, he scored 34 times. By 2017, he was no longer the young winger Chelsea could not accommodate. He was a complete transition attacker, entering his prime. Liverpool signed him that June. The reported fee was about £36.5 million, though the club did not publish an exact figure. He became Liverpool's first Egyptian player. The return contained a question. Would the old failure repeat? Salah answered before the debate could settle. Jurgen Klopp placed him high on the right, Roberto Firmino created central space, and Sadio Mane attacked from the opposite side. Their movement gave Salah a runway toward goal. The rejected prospect had not returned for approval. He had returned with a system built to reveal what Italy had taught him. Salah scored on his Liverpool League debut in August 2017. 2 months later, he carried an even heavier moment. Egypt needed victory over Congo to reach the World Cup. In stoppage time, with the score level, Salah converted a penalty that ended the country's 28-year absence from the tournament. Then, his first Liverpool season accelerated beyond prediction. He scored 44 goals in all competitions, the most ever by a Liverpool player in a debut season. 32 came in the Premier League, then a record for a 38-game campaign. He won the Golden Boot, the PFA Players Award, the Football Writers Award, and the league's Player Prize. His curling Merseyside derby goal later won the Puskás Award. His durability mattered too. He started week after week while opponents changed plans specifically to contain him again. Liverpool's front three drove the club to the Champions League final in Kiev. There, Salah left in the first half with a shoulder injury after a challenge involving Sergio Ramos. The injury was decisive for Salah. Evidence does not establish that Ramos deliberately intended it. Real Madrid won 3-1. Salah recovered in time for the 2018 World Cup, but missed Egypt's opening match. He scored the team's only 2 goals as Egypt lost all 3 games. Within 1 year, he had delivered qualification, individual history, and a European final, yet ended injured and winless on the world's largest stages. Greatness had arrived before fulfillment. The next season would test whether the explosion could become an era. Salah scored 22 league goals in 2018-19 and shared another Golden Boot. Liverpool lost only once in the league and still finished second. Europe offered redemption. In the Champions League final against Tottenham, Salah converted a penalty after 108 seconds. Liverpool won 2-0, and he became the first Egyptian to score in a European Cup final. The team added the UEFA Super Cup and Club World Cup later that year. Then, Liverpool transformed pursuit into domination. In 2019-20, they collected 99 points and won the club's first league title in 30 years. Salah was no longer a spectacular newcomer. He was the reliable right-sided scorer in a team whose pressing, passing, and belief had become inseparable. His meaning also traveled beyond results. In Nagrig, charitable support connected with Salah helped schools, medical services, families, and youth facilities. In Britain, an academic study estimated that his visibility coincided with a 16% fall in hate crimes in Merseyside and roughly halved anti-Muslim tweets among Liverpool supporters. The research described an association with exposure, not a universal cure for prejudice. Supporters called him the Egyptian King, a nickname joining affection, identity, performance, and pride inside one shared chant. That distinction matters. Salah did not solve social division by scoring goals. He made one famous Muslim life familiar to millions, celebrating in prayer without apology. By 2020, the journey from Nagrig had become a story of belonging, Egyptian, Muslim, African, European, and unmistakably Liverpool. Salah kept evolving. Defenders learned his inside run, so he created more for others. In 2021-22, he led the Premier League with 23 goals and 13 assists, winning both the Golden Boot and Playmaker awards. Liverpool won the FA Cup and League Cup, but missed the league by 1 point and lost the Champions League final. For Egypt, the missing piece remained a senior trophy. Salah had lost the 2017 Africa Cup of Nations final to Cameroon. In the tournament played in 2022, Senegal defeated Egypt on penalties in another final. Weeks later, Senegal won a second shootout and denied Egypt a place at the 2022 World Cup. These defeats complicated simple arguments about leadership. Salah could organize, create, score, and convert his own penalty, but he could not control every teammate, save every kick, or repair the structures around the national team. At Liverpool, records kept falling. He scored the fastest Champions League hat-trick, became the club's leading Premier League scorer, and reached 200 Liverpool goals. Another League Cup arrived in 2024. The contrast sharpened his story. Club football supplied rhythm, continuity, and trophies. Egypt supplied duty, emotion, and repeated uncertainty. Each time, he remained committed to both, even as every international tournament reopened the same question. Could his generation complete the national story? At 32, Salah produced his greatest league season. In 2024-25, he scored 29 Premier League goals and supplied 18 assists. His 47 goal involvements matched the competition's overall single-season record and set a new mark for a 38-game season. Liverpool won the title. Salah became the first player to sweep the Premier League's Player, Golden Boot, and Playmaker awards in one campaign. He also became the first 3-time winner of the PFA Players Award and tied the record with a 3rd Football Writers Award. He finished 4th in the 2025 Ballon d'Or vote. Liverpool had renewed his contract in April 2025, but the following season broke the pattern. Salah recorded 12 goals and 10 assists in 41 appearances as Liverpool finished 5th. In March 2026, club and player announced that he would leave by mutual agreement at the season's end. The contract ending surprised supporters because his Anfield production had seemed permanent. His final Liverpool match ended 1-1 against Brentford, with Salah providing an assist. The farewell did not need a winning score. The larger record was settled. 257 goals, 120 assists, 2 league titles, a Champions League, and 9 trophies. Anfield's Egyptian king left as a legend, not as the fading version of one remarkable final season. Before leaving Liverpool, Salah had already led Egypt back to the World Cup. He scored twice against Djibouti to secure qualification and reached 20 African World Cup qualifying goals, a continental record. The Africa Cup of Nations brought another disappointment. Egypt finished 4th after losing a semi-final to Senegal and a bronze medal shootout to Nigeria. Salah contributed 4 goals and an assist, but the senior trophy still escaped him. At the 2026 World Cup, Egypt drew with Belgium, then beat New Zealand 3-1. Salah scored and assisted in Egypt's first World Cup victory for 92 years. A draw with Iran advanced them from the group. Against Australia, Egypt drew 1-1 and won the shootout 4-2. Salah converted his kick. The penalty did not count as a goal, but the victory delivered Egypt's first appearance in the round of 16. Argentina seemed to end the dream, but Egypt made the moment historic before surrendering it. They led 2-0. Argentina recovered through Christian Romero, Lionel Messi, and Enzo Fernandez to win 3-2. Salah finished the tournament with 1 goal and 2 assists across 5 matches. The trophy remained missing. Yet Egypt had crossed a boundary no earlier generation had crossed. As of July 20, Salah's next club was still unannounced. For 9 years, Anfield knew exactly where Mohamed Salah belonged. The world knew him, but not where the road from Nagrig would lead next.